A very warm welcome to this Sunday's game, and straight away I'm bringing him in. I'm not going to do an intro because the man needs no introduction because he is our leader. He's the person who has brought us out of COVID times now to post-COVID until we're actually now having success on and off the field. And it's off the field we're going to start with. John, listen, the money is there for clubs to do projects, for regions to do projects. We've seen how it works. I've seen it myself with Moscow, with Simbirsk, how we can make things happen, how we can start putting hurls in the hands of people who never thought of hurling before. But the deadline is almost there, John. It's tomorrow evening.
Yes. So good evening, Alan. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I suppose top of mind for me and probably the big priority right now for clubs around the world and particular GGE, because that's, our main priority is the Global Game Development Fund, which is open until Wednesday, 6 p.m. CET. So that's tomorrow. I would highly encourage clubs to reach out. It should be in your emails. There's emails from our secretary, John White, our development officer, Tony Bass. It should be in the secretary and chair emails. If you have a project, please submit it. We have had projects for, starting up youth, scaling up youth, starting hurling in Camogie, starting ladies football. I suppose the big things that this covers is pitch rentals, equipment, coaching, so they're the big ones. If you need more footballs to go from 10 players to 25, and this stuff is expensive, submit your grant. We've always done very well. We've had a great showing from Europe. We're somewhere always between 40, give or take, applications. A lot of clubs have gotten goalposts, like I said, bibs, cones, footballs, helmets. So yeah, please get those in. I'd also encourage you guys, if you do make those applications and they're successful, to use our sponsor McKeever for your equipment, right? So I think we can get good prices there, given our sponsorship agreement.
I'm covering up the O'Neill, sorry, John.
Yeah. Blasphemy, Alan.
you're well set up. So again, John, it's like, as you said, from goalposts to slitters to nets to pitch rental, it's all there and possible. And because we do hear, John, we do hear it all the time, and we're going to hear it on Saturday, this Saturday in convention. We've heard it during the year, and you've heard it when you've spoken with clubs. You've had 3 calls with clubs this year or more, but like as in set calls.
I think I talk to clubs weekly.
There you go. Well, I mean, daily,
exactly.
daily. So like one of the biggest complaints, and I've heard it from clubs speaking with them for last few years, that we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that. But this is a gold standard money. So again, we will have on the description of this, we will have the email that you can send the information to. We're not going to put it on the screen because that'll distort our conversation.
Yeah, and also obviously we don't want to put the sign up. We'll put an email for either John or Tony that people can reach out.
Exactly. Because again, don't contact through our social media, because we're just going to send you straight back away and say, email these men. John, moving on from that and moving back just a little short while, another great year for Amsterdam. Did the double, and of course Belgium did a double in the ladies as well. It's terrific. Yeah. So again, well done to them. Brilliant work by them on and off the field. Amsterdam have come so close yet again, John. Now, it seems like every year we're speaking about this. That's like, what? I was thinking 3rd time in a row, lucky that you're going to do it. What was the gap this year, John? Where do you think there was the difference between the sides? It was 1 point in football. So hurling is where, again, so unlucky in it. Like I thought, watching it, you just had a rattle. Yeah. What was the difference in the football, John? Where can you tweak for next year to get that extra step?
Ooh, I'm not in management. So you're getting like football and hurler on the ditch commentary here, rather than maybe management or someone more in tune. Look, I think that game was there for either team. In the football, it was heartbreaking. Look, what could we tweak? I think if we keep that level of performance, it will come, right? So I think our first half, we were probably a bit nervous. I think going in, 9 points to 3. We went in at half time. We actually have somebody, Aidan Hughes from Ashburn. He's used to playing in that pitch, and he kind of said 6 points is nothing in this pitch. It's quite windy. So I don't know if it came across on TV, but there was a substantial wind with Kilbride in the first half. But I think we didn't help ourselves. So I would say if we had kept the first half tighter and maybe gone in only 4 or even 2 or 3 points down rather than 6. 6 was a lot. And then to come back early in the second half, we had momentum. So I would say the second half performance was very strong. First half, we just need to settle a bit more. And like, I think, you probably saw in Clubber, there was a few injuries, right? Our corner forward, Shawnee, had a hip flexor that he was dragging all game. Aidan Hughes came on, had to go off with a hamstring. There was that very bad tackle that one of the lads got a concussion from, our wing forward, Chris. So when you pick up, like I said, probably 3 injuries that, probably you can't play on with, that has an impact, right, on your momentum. I would say we're lucky we have a deep squad, but you get momentum, and so I would say next year a bit tighter in the first half, maybe, keep that gap to 2 or 3 points. But I think the second half performance was very strong from the lads.
Yeah, I mean, again, when the advantage as well is that for Kilbride, it was a home match in every sense. Kilbride are from just down the road, like they're across the Navan Road or the Cullen Road. So, like, I mean, or the North Road. It's a very difficult one, and they know how to pitches play as well. And so, one thing with the wind, John, as well, did you find it as for kickouts and that, it was kind of difficult to get either the hang or the direction because it seemed to be moving a bit as well. It wasn't helping.
A little bit, but I think maybe the shooting probably was even on wide. So I would say both teams were affected. I think just for us, we underappreciated at the start, right? And then kind of, like I said, we came in at halftime and Aidan grew up playing on that pitch, and he said, like, look, this is not uncommon in this pitch to have this kind of a thing. Because I would say we kind of were like, gee, didn't expect that now in terms of the gap. But yeah, look, the second half, I think we took advantage of it. So it is what it is. Don't think we can blame
again. Next year, come back, win out of Europe, and get through again. And that's not.
Well, that's it, right? Like, I suppose, if any teams were watching, Amsterdam won Europe, but we were a hair's breadth away from winning a Leinster round. So I think that is the standard of football that we should expect from every year from the champions, of that, right? Like, I think last year Belgium won the ladies and then won a round. So I think our champion, like the people winning our top competitions across, the top codes are there, thereabouts. Obviously we need to look at maybe getting more 15-a-side practice in. We have obviously great facilities in Maastricht and Rennes, but, getting more 15-a-side games and pitches. I know, for example, there's a club who've already reached out to me to play next year, based on our appearance, and they want to play in men's football, ladies football, and hurling, right? So they're meant to play 3 codes in Europe. So we're working on that with them, So I think we're thereabouts, at some point. Well, actually, sorry, that's not true. The Belgium have won twice, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the book has been broken, so there's no point in saying it hasn't. I think it'll come for the men too. Hurling, I think they were just better than us. Like, I have no problem saying that. I think they were cuter. I think we wasted opportunities. And unfortunately, it just clashed with the ladies' football, so I didn't see the Belgium game.
Yeah, with the Belgium game, I obviously watched both. I think that they did sort of. It seemed like in a way they were kind of overawed, but there was nothing in the game. There was like whole periods of the game with no scores, and yet.
Well, I think they were missing like Ane and Marla, right, and maybe one.
That's right.
Like third kind of one of their star players missing. So that's big. I mean, it'd be the same as taking 3 of our, like, what, Marla plays centre back and A plays centre forward, and forgive me, I don't know, but there's 3 strong, kind of 3 of the spine are missing, and that's
it. Yeah. So it happens, but again, I say we're coming closer, and we saw it as well in the World Games. in Derry this year. Super turnout from Europe. We were, some of our teams, we thought, okay, they're going to struggle, but they actually shone. So, for example, Gascoigne men, they just shone through. They were playing with such vim and vigor. Other teams, like even you saw them yourself, the quality of hurling, and our camogues did very, very well. Our hurlers did very well. The German hurlers, the French hurlers. Yeah. There was a real passion about it. What were your biggest, if you could say, like your biggest 3 takeaways from the World Games? What would they be?
Biggest 3 is it's a great event. Now we'd 43 teams, but having gone to it, I'm like, okay, let's try and double that number next year. So 1 is, I think my appetite for increasing the participation is 1. 2, I think coaching, right? And I don't mean that to sound negative towards the Europeans, but when you look at the American teams, when you look at the Middle East, I think the level of coaching was there. I think the French men in that final gave a great account of themselves, but I felt they just needed some more development. So I think that's a big one for me, is how do we get more coaching? And Anne-Marie, our coaching officer, I'll be pushing hard, and hopefully the clubs will be pushing hard. I think we need to get more coaching done, right? So I think the talent is there. I thought the fitness was there. I think we're just missing what maybe we'd say in Cork, looking over the border at Kerry, like the cuteness or shrewdness for others. I think that was a little bit. But so my big takeaways were, I think we were the heart and soul of it, right? From the German chants to the French Paquitos. I think the GG teams helped make it a great tournament. I think other teams came in maybe a bit more on the serious side, where I think we really leaned into the celebration of Gaelic games. And so that one for me, I was so proud of everyone that participated and everyone that helped in the background. So 1, the participation was glorious. 2, the talent is here. I just think we need to kind of keep pushing. I played on, so I used to, every year we try and push up the bar. I think it's the same here. In 3 years' time, if we can get more people doing introduction or foundation to Gaelic games, level 1, level 2, so that we're a bit more shrewd. And I think the third thing is, I think the players, we created hopefully more lunatics.
Yeah, now again, John, that's something that people kind of reacted to, both positive and negative. I got in the neck after you and me standing there, in front of the hall, and we said it, and the 2 of us right afterwards, you're like, "Is that all right?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's an honest take on it," and it is that kind of lunacy that keeps us going over and over and over and keeps going back.
Most of us give up 1, 2, 3 nights a week. People give up their free time. Now, yes, if you're involved in sports, you do this, right? But I think it's something to be appreciated that about sports, whether it's Gaelic games or other sports, right, is there is a fundamental altruism that's actually gone beyond altruism and into a kind of a sense of madness that, hey, I'm willing to give up 3 nights a week. I'm willing to, train football Monday night, train camogie Wednesday night, train kids Saturday, right? It is a fantastic thing. And I think it should be praised, because I think in the modern world, a lot of people aspire to do only what suits them or what is completely beneficial. So I think the idea of being altruistic and going, hey, look, I can contribute to a club in any sports, right? So I think I like the word lunatic because, I see it myself here, right? There's people that put in massive work in clubs all around Europe. And, if you're maybe dating or married to someone that's not involved, they think you're mad, right? They think you're doing it. So I think more lunacy around the better.
Yeah, look, I spoke with Kieran and Seep from Nijmegen, and again, that's when you talk about lunacy.
Perfect example, right? Yeah, Seep is just mad for it, right? And doesn't come from a background of Gaelic games, fell into it. I mean, you look at the Gaelic, the World Games. There was people there who'd started playing in October that had put their hand in their pocket. Think about that, right? I mean, I was part of 2 teams, right? I had a European Bears men team, and then I was kind of helping out with one of the European ladies teams. We had at least 2, maybe a third, that started in October 2022 playing Gaelic games, and they went to Derry for a week. So they took a week off work. They paid their own way in a sport that you've been playing 9 months, maybe, right? So like that to me is fanaticism at its most beautiful, right? It's brilliant to
That's
see.
it. And it's, as you said, 43 teams this time. And again, John, we'll be very honest with it. There's a lot of people who would say, our colleagues will say, no, it should be like elite. We should go to win. However, you've continued on the division of it, that this is for participation. This is for growing our sports, because it's next door. It's next door. It's easier for us to get there than it is. So we need to take advantage of it. So if we get 50% more teams, John, that's a huge win.
I think we give a lot of headaches to the guys at home, but I'm fine with that. Yeah. So I suppose on the development, right? Like you said, we discussed it at the county convention, right? So like I suppose a lot of people were like, where did this idea come from of development rather than, like, I suppose when you look at the size of Europe, having an elite team that is like fairly selected, fairly trained, it will drain all the county coffers, right? So to have an elite team enforce codes is extremely expensive and probably something down the line to look at. But right now, we are in a position where we have nearly 100 clubs. We have 5 divisions or 5 regions. We need to promote those, right? So at the county board that you were there down in Malaga, right? We had the convention. We had this discussion around, do we go elite or do we go divisional or development? And then we said, okay, let's go development. Let's get the regions and the sub-regions the opportunity to participate and create an identity. You know what I mean? Like we saw that France is its first hurling team. Germany hurlers won, right? So we got to think there's 2 kind of tangents to this, right? You parallel tracks, right? we're going to have a GG European identity, but you're also going to have this, French or German identity or Swedish or whatever comes along, right? That identity is and as we get more and more, we'll say non-Irish players, right? So local players, whether they're Swedish or German or Italian, that identity is going to be very important. So the decision was made that you could do national representation, then regional representation, and then sub-region, right? And then we had these catch-all teams, right, at the GGE level. And fundamentally, I think it worked out because the collective greater is more important than an individual, right? So for me, 43 teams is better than sending 4, right? I think we had out of 2,000 players, we had 43%, maybe 46% of the player participation.
Yeah, true.
If we got to 4 teams, all of those other people would have been forsaken, right? So for me, yeah, I'm delighted that the county kind of bought into where we wanted to go. I thought we should go, but it was a decision from the clubs and the members.
I think they were just convinced, because I think if you look back at how, say, in 2019, it was like, if you want to go, you organize, you go. And it was this kind of, keeping people in the game. And you can see people now this time. I was so happy to come back again. Say the Iberian international team, ladies football. Yeah. It was so great to get back. And then you're meeting people again that you met, 4 years ago.
Yeah, you build connections with people, right? And that's super important. Like, going to another tournament, you now have a few more friends. You now have a few more kind of, it starts at maybe acquaintances or familiar faces to, friends, and then it progresses to the community bit, right? The tagline of the GA is about inclusivity and where we all belong. So, I think we embodied that with the choice we made for this. And, I was down when we played the 15-a-side, down in, like, I knew now more of the Red and the Nantes players, and because a lot of them were on the team that I managed, so it was really nice to see them and catch up in Rennes. And so this is the kind of what you're fostering is the community.
Exactly, and we just continue to grow. John, overall, we've had a terrific year. We've had, now of course it's not over yet, but we've had a terrific year. And of course, there's leagues underway now in France and Spain and Galicia.
Yeah, we started again, right? Like, I wouldn't say it's over; it's just started up again.
Exactly. We're just in the middle of it all, overall, we've had again another very successful failure, more than before. We'd had our kids going across to Ireland, kids playing in Croke Park. So it's been this really strong year. As I said, we're well out of post-COVID. We can't have that excuse anymore because we are growing. For you, what have been the main highlights of the year for you?
Highlights. I think Fela. Honestly, the future of Europe is kids. So, like you and down in Lorient just got youth volunteer of the year. That was huge. We saw Canal Plus did a session on one of their kids programs with Finn Bell and Tony from Paris. So I think those things around the future, I'm future focused, right? Like Amsterdam is done for the year, so like it's a subsection for me. The youth, we're going down to Galicia. If anyone doesn't know, for the Fela next year, that's going to be brilliant, right? These guys have traveled to both Felas, now they're delighted to host. I suppose maybe I'm forward looking rather than retrospective. Follow. So yeah, sorry, maybe I'm getting looking back. What am I proud of? I think World Games. Everyone did marvelous. I think the amount of games we played, and maybe something that you know I would say behind the scenes, I think the county board has done a lot of work collectively, right? There's been a lot of meetings, a lot of hours put in to help us get in what I would say is a very good position for next year. Like I said, the hurling stuff is sorted. Um, the fail is sorted. I think there's coaching and referee courses already running. So that was done. That's on the back of a lot of work done this year. The other thing maybe that I want to mention is I think for the first time in a long time, the GAA has bought into what we're doing. So we have a new Leinster chair in Derek Kent this year. He came in February. He didn't know much about Gaelic games till February, right? Gaelic games in Europe. Sorry, knows plenty about ones.
So we'll move that around. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I'll say it to him. He'll laugh at that. Don't worry. But so I think what happened there, and this is something like people don't see, right? So we went over at Congress. We presented what I thought was a more baked strategic plan, and they said, "Hold on now, we want to get on board with it. Let's review this," right? So we thought, I would say, we're at about 95%. It was kind of, hey, have a look at this, sign off, and we will go do it. I think what had happened in February was Derek said, "Well, I want to review this. I want to get on board with it." And as a result of that, we've got kind of a more dedicated resource in Leinster with Jamie Queenie, who's now, I would say more dedicated than resources previously. And Derek actually gave there's 3 full-time resources that are working with each of the overseas units. So we have Jamie, there's one for Middle East, and there's one for Australia. So I would say something that I'm very proud of is building that relationship stronger. I think when we started the strategic plan, or when we started building this bloody thing, because it's frustrated me, and I said this in the report, how, they kind of said, go on away and do it. Isn't it great you're doing it? And then in February, they kind of said, whoa, hold on now. What? He actually went off and did it. And I was like, yes, I said I'd do it, so I did it. And then they said, well, hold on, let us have a look at it. And then they kind of went, wait, this isn't actually bloody bad. Actually, this is quite good. And, geez, we'd like to be involved. So I think what's happened is in previous strategic plans, we kind of went off and did it, ourselves. And that was the mentality this time as well. But now I think Croke Park have come back and said, whoa, there's something in this here that we could learn from and something we can help with. And same with Leinster. So I think that has been something very, it's been a slow, to build trust, you need to be consistent and do what you say over time, right? So in February, there was uncertainty, or maybe, it was building of a relationship. I think by now, like the last few months, we have built a trust that's kind of new, right? In Charlie Harrison, you have a kind of a new outlook over the last 18 months. In Croke Park, certainly sees the potential of the overseas. He's investing. They've gotten Mickey Quigg in. So I think there's renewed focus in the overseas units that maybe we haven't had, and there's a trust now that we've developed that we maybe hadn't had. I think we're trying to move from aren't they great over there to geez, they have a lot of potential and we need to help them. So I think that's something I'm very proud of, and that's due to the efforts of the county board getting on calls, morning, noon, and night when the Crow Park and Leinster wanted calls. I think it's the performance at the World Games. I think it's Belgium doing so well in the LGFA. Like, it's consistency over time, and because we had this refresh with Derek coming in and Charlie kind of getting done with World Games, it's something that like nobody will see on the ground in GGE right now. But if you look at that McKeever sponsorship deal that Dearmid landed, that was a huge one, right? That is the biggest sponsorship deal we've ever had. Why? Because we showed them, hey, we're now getting buy-in from a collective. So we're getting Leinster support. We're getting Crow Park support. I got to present for Minister Byrne in September in Paris. We've talked about 6 or 7 ambassadors around Europe about where our vision is for Europe and like how we're refining this strategic plan. I wouldn't say it's changed much since February. What has changed is, one, their buy-in, which I don't think we had in previous plans, and two, their understanding, right? So in order for them to trust where we're going, they need the time to understand where we came from, where we're at, and where we're going. So that is trust, and that takes time. And I think for me, this is something that I'm very proud of. It's something that goes behind the scenes, but I mean, it's combinated in them committing to getting us a full-time resource, right? The idea that somebody gives 40 hours a week as their role to Gaelic Games Europe is incredible, right? That is a huge step forward. We've tried previously in the past. It hasn't worked. I would say trust might have been one of the things that they weren't. I think knowledge of what we're doing, appreciation of where we're at, and then trust of where we're going wasn't strong enough before. I think we've established that over the last few months, getting that buy-in. I think McKeever, like I said, coming aboard. So all of a sudden, we're doing kind of, I suppose, unsexy things in the background. It's not, building stadiums or anything like that. But these are the kind of hard slogs that, as a management board, you have to put in, because, like a full-time resource going in 2024 will be massive. It was something that I kind of said, by hell or by high water, I'll get in 2023. Fuck it, we'll pay for it ourselves. And then all of a sudden, Crow Park went, well, if we understand you better, we're happy to kind of get involved. And Leinster said the same. So that is huge. We're going to get an increase in operational grant funding this year from Crow Park. I know, again, just about, being a bit more tight-knit in terms of the understanding us a bit better and seeing the opportunity. So I suppose that's something that maybe goes behind the scenes, but, hats off to the county officers for that, because that will pay off, right? McKeever, also the embassies, right? I would ask all clubs to have a tighter, engagement with your embassies. If minister, and this is going to be a big push for 2024, if you Irish ministers are coming to Europe and you're aware of it, get onto your embassy. What we need them is to ask for recognition for Gaelic games. So this is a big push for 24. We've talked to IOC at a high level. We've been told if we are to be recognized as a federation globally, we need local recognition as well. So what we need there is clubs having tight-knit with their embassies, and then when they hear that ministers are coming over, meet them, get to know the ministry, and then push the embassies and those. So when they're meeting local government ministers, they're saying, hey, we would like to know what you would need from support from the embassy, from the Irish government, from the Gaelic clubs in that country to get recognised. Luxembourg have done this. They created a field sports federation, so they are recognised. We're in talks in France, but that's just the start. If we are to scale for facilities, we're going to need this.
Okay, and again, as you said, it's again a big step that really came through, and you came in to push along this last couple of years as well to get the ambassadorial recognition. So it's extremely important. Again, echo what you say. Local embassies are there. They'll also rubber stamp the thing we're going to finish off on right now. That's the Global Games Development Grants, because again, the embassies will say, "Yeah, we know these people. We know this man. We know this woman." And if there's a question, it will be decided at the embassy level. So again,
Correct.
as you said, John, people have to be very, very smart with this. So so again, to end off, what do people need to do to who need to get in contact with about getting this, their hands on some of this like lovely cash?
Yes, so to get hands on that available, so reach out if you're a member. Your chair, I think the chair, treasurer, secretary, and PRO are the 4 official club emails through the GA. That there will be an email in there from John White or Tony Vass, development officer and secretary, about the steps. So talk to your club, say, I have an idea, we need goalposts, we need nets, we need helmets, we need hurleys for Camogue, whatever you need. Get on to those people. If not, reach out to me as chair.europe@ga.ie, and I'll set you up with the lads. But yeah, I think for me, it's let's get we've done very well in getting thousands of funding over the years, so let's just keep that up.
Exactly, because again, the more we get, and the less that's being sent back, and the more that we actually request and use, the more it's going to be.
And that's the important thing, right? Clubs, this is you avoiding having to put your hands in your own pockets, which most of us do 90% of the time anyway. So yeah,
exactly.
Perfect.
John, listen, on that note, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you, Malmo, very soon, and congratulations on another. Again, not the end of a year. Congratulations on success to date this year.
It. Exactly. We'll keep going. All right. Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thanks, John. And on that note, we will end off this show. And of course, remember, look down in the description below. You'll see the emails of the officers you need to get in contact with about getting hold of the information and application forms and applying for a Global Games Development Grant. You only have 24 hours to go, so go get on it right now. So until next time, I'm Alan Moore saying take care of yourselves and each other.